Here in this video, we will go over all of your Tesla stock breaking news and broad market analysis. Let's start first things first with something that is yet again being rumored, which could rally Tesla stock big time. I'm talking 5 to 10% in a single day, with likely a much longer continuation rally after the fact. This is FSD entering the Chinese market. This was posted by Tesla China analyst, apparently unconfirmable, an insider over in China and Tesla. But this does make a lot of sense. On November 23rd, we were getting reports from inside China itself that we were going to get FSD launched in the country in December or January. Fast forward to now, it is January 7th, still no FSD rollout in China. This has actually been a process for a while now. Even back in 2021, Tesla established a data center in Shanghai, which gathered all data generated by its domestic operations because China deemed, well, if you're a US company and you want to have FSD in our country at some point, all of that data has to stay in China. As of just 2 days ago, the Chinese have recalled 1.6 million imported being a key function here, Tesla Model S, X, 3, and Ys to fix the automatic steering assist function with FSD and autopilot. It seems clear as day, that this recall was actually to make sure the data gets centralized in China. I doubt it had anything to do with the automatic steering assist with FSD or autopilot. FSD is currently only available in North America, and there is about a 10% take rate on this. But for China, it could actually be higher than that. See, a lot of people here in the US are very hesitant on full self-driving or just cars driving themselves in general. I have a generalized feeling that China, a good portion of consumers that buy a Tesla, are probably going to opt to get FSD as well. We don't know what the pricing would be on this. I'm sure it would be less than here in the US. We've heard before $8,000 US dollars or $5,000 US dollars. Does not matter. If you had a take rate of, let's say, 20% for FSD in China, that would boost Tesla's numbers, well, big time. Vehicle registrations from China in 2023 totaled 610,000 vehicles. So let's assign a 20% take rate to this. That would be 122,000 vehicles potentially in 2023 could have been sold with FSD. If we times this by $8,000, that would be $976 million. Well, times this by maybe 90%, considering software margins are ridiculous. I should have times that, but times 0.90, you would be almost $900 million of additional profits that Tesla otherwise would have received. If we think it could be anywhere around 800,000 deliveries in this full year, times that by 20% take rate, 160,000 vehicles by $8,000, times that would be almost 1.3 billion, times that by 90%, you would be, well, about $1.15 billion of additional profits just by launching FSD in China. Now, what would this do to an actual EPS? So what would that do to Tesla's actual EPS? Well, simple. Divide this number by 3.3 billion because that's how many shares are outstanding. And that would add about 35 cents to Tesla's EPS, which that does not sound like a lot, but that's almost 10% of full year 2024 EPS estimates from Wall Street. That's why I think roughly this could be a 10+% catalyst for Tesla stock, not to mention Tesla's earnings coming on January 24th, or a potential announcement for an Indian factory, which could be as early as this week, if not next week. So yeah, the bottom line is this would be a very big deal for Tesla stock. Now let's get into all of your other Tesla stock news today. It appears that one of the biggest car YouTubers in the world with 4.3 million subscribers just posted a new video of Tesla's Cybertruck. That's gotta be good for publicity of the potential halo effect. It also appears as if people with pending Model S and Y orders are also being asked to reconfigure their orders due to the EPS range estimates being lowered. So hopefully this does not affect Tesla's Q1 all too much. From what we've seen, the actual vehicles being produced in China and Fremont and in Texas, the numbers should be good, but we'll just have to see if this affects anything. And here we have another image, multiple images of Highlands in Florida with Chinese emblems. Pretty interesting. They say engineering vehicle on the side, so it looks like they are trying to get some Model 3s Highlands rolling here for the US pretty soon. It's estimated that we could actually see this roll out in Q1 of 2024, although it could be Q2 potentially. Toyota sold a total of 5,718 battery EVs in the US in Q4 of 2023. This means that pure EVs made up less than 1% of their overall car sales. Honda is considering building a $14 billion EV plant in Canada that could possibly include in-house production of batteries, Japan's Nikkei News Group reported on Sunday. And here we can see some night shots of the Steck Dynochrome matte black wrap on Tesla Cybertruck. First time plant shopping at Ruth Bancroft in Walnut Creek, he says. And if we take a look at some of these images, the bed actually looks very cool with these lights and the plant, the dog, and you gotta put the wife in there too. Tesla's Google Trends activity is definitely starting to trend downwards for the Model Y and for the Cybertruck, and really the Model 3's just staying pinned where it is. Global inventory numbers for Tesla showing continued little spike here in the Model Y. Model X really spiked. The Model S has spiked as well, but the Model 3 just continues to fall in global inventory numbers. And here you can see that. I'll take myself off the screen so you can see just how low the Model 3 is. Presumably that means there's probably good demand for the Model 3 globally, which is good news. And Tesla continues to run 400 ads with Google. Tesla's stock twits barometer, this is what I've liked to look at recently to look at message volume and sentiment. Message volume is at 67. Sentiment is, well, pretty bearish, and that's because Tesla's had 6 red days in a row. If this changes, that's going to be great news for Tesla stock. Tesla's option activity over the past week, albeit considering Tesla stock was red 6 days in a row, pretty positive from hedge funds and institutions. You have seen about 3,500 orders totaling $10.54 billion with a positive order value of 56%. If we take a look at the week ahead, just a quick little view here of the bubble chart. We break this down in more depth in the next video. You can see it looks like most of the activity is to the call side, especially if you look here on the left side of your screen where my cursor is. The higher these circles, the more open interest. So the more people have bought and held these options. So there's more people buying and holding calls for this week on Tesla stock than puts. Considering options are mostly used to hedge, well, that's a pretty good sign. Next week, we are going to have CPI, we are going to have PPI, we're going to have big bank earnings that start on Friday as well. So there's definitely going to be some volatile events, and we have a pretty long video coming out breaking down all of that at 8:30 p.m. tonight. So stay tuned to the channel for that one. We will also go over a price prediction and where I think Tesla stock will go in this upcoming week. I also did do a poll on X. Feel free to still vote on this. There's 4 hours left. And you can see that I said it's pretty clear in 2024, if the US economy enters a recession, Tesla will not perform well. For yes recession in 2024, 10.7% voted yes. For no recession, 53.6% voted for no recession. And Tesla does well either way was 35.7%. So it looks like general consensus, at least here in the Tesla community, is likely no recession and or Tesla does well either way. One of the big stories over this weekend that I think will affect stocks in the beginning of the week was something that Nick Timmerhouse shared from Fed President Lori Logan. She says that the Fed should slow Treasury runoff as overnight reverse repo balances approach a low level. That's something analysts say could occur by mid-year. Slowing QT reduces the likelihood that we'd have to stop prematurely. Normally, when the Fed's balance sheet gets run down, that's a negative thing, and when it goes higher, that's a positive thing. Now, this is not exactly saying it's going to stop, but instead of the Fed running off 90 billion of assets every month, maybe that drops to 20 billion or 30 billion, and I'm sure that should have a positive impact to stocks here in this upcoming trading week, but over the foreseeable future as that actually starts to happen. But overall, as you can see from this chart, looking at the McLean oscillator, stocks very oversold right now. And it looks like money market funds continue to see almost record inflows, which is pretty interesting considering there's $6.2 trillion of money in money market funds. If the economic picture starts to stabilize, we get some more clarity. If earnings come in good, if inflation continues to fall and the Fed continues to, promote the idea of lowering rates because inflation is falling, not that we're heading into a recession, well, money is likely to start pooling itself into our markets instead of money market funds, and that would be very bullish as well. Seth Golden shares this on X for the bulls. He says the golden bull has signaled for only the 7th time since 1975. This is a composite bullish signal with a 100% forward 12-month positivity rate. May the probabilities be ever in your favor for 2024. And you can see the forward return 12 months later tends to be about 27.2%. And here's another one for the bulls. It's not just that 90% of stocks were trading above their 50-day moving average, it's that it went from less than 15% to 90% within 50 days. S&P 500, 94% probability that we are higher 6 months later, and 100% probability we're higher 12 months later. Between now and then, Seth Golden says you simply buy the dip. The last time this happened was November 30th, 2022, and it looks like 21 days later, the markets had actually fallen about 6%. 63 days later, stocks were still down about 1%. But then a full year later, stocks were up almost 13%. Currently, the yield curve remains inverted, but only inverted by 35 basis points. When you actually start to uninvert is when you probably get more pain in the markets. And that's exactly what's been happening recently. On December 15th, you were inverted 53 basis points. Now you're only inverted 35 basis points. And look at the pain that we've seen in stocks. Hopefully, we continue to invert deeper, and that would be bullish for our markets. Currently, markets are pricing in a 64% odds that we do see the first rate cut in March. That is much better than the 32% odds that are priced in for a continued pause through March. Currently, markets are still pricing in 6 rate cuts in 2024 with 35.9% odds, 7 rate cuts sitting at 18.3%, and 5 rate cuts at 29.1%. It does seem like there's been an uptick in the demand to borrow Tesla stock to sell it short, as cost to borrow fees on Friday jumped to about 10%, which is very high for Tesla. You do have $20.32 billion worth of short positions currently, with 3.09% short interest of free flow. Tesla stock seems to be finding support at the 50-day moving average, likely to find some resistance around the 100-day moving average. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the same period of time from November 13th through December 13th. And it looks like a big gap up might be the only thing that sends us out of this demand zone. 230 is a demand zone. There's a lot of buys that come in the low 230s. There's a lot of sellers that step in around 240. Big demand zone in the 230s. So a break down lower this week is going to be really bad news. A break higher this week, well, you guessed it, is going to be Great news. Tesla stock substantially on the oversold side at 43.71. Comparing this to the broader indexes, the S&P is at 55 for the RSI and IWM is at 50.98. So IWM looks a little bit more on the oversold side. It just came off from almost 80 down to 50 in a relatively short amount of time. So overall, I think the markets can see a bounce here, but we'll break that down more in the next video. Let me know what you think about Tesla stock for this week. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you made it to the end of this video. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, every time I make a trade, I send out alerts. Hopefully 2024 is going to be as great to us as 2023 was. We know at the very minimum, there's going to be a lot of volatility. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.